me, I just experienced another aspect of the bullshit that goes along with Uber Eats driving. A service like this relies on the infallibility of technology, which doesn't always work. Like, hear me out for a sec. I just picked up from this restaurant, Italian place, called Ciao Italia. Now, I've never picked up from these guys before, so that can always be a bit daunting sometimes, but luckily I kind of know the area. There's a lot of restaurants around here I've delivered from. So, I follow the Uber Eats software to where the restaurant supposedly is, and it's like 100 meters up the road. Like, there is not a restaurant inside. It's all apartments and houses, and I was just like, and Uber app is like, the restaurant is on your right, and I'm like, no it isn't. So luckily I know the area, and I know where there's a few other restaurants, and I think, you know what, they're probably over there. So I head down there and I found them, no problem. Let them know, and like the girl at the counter, and she was like, you know, it's a Google Maps problem. And I'm like, yeah, so Uber doesn't use Google Maps, at least I don't think they do. But even if they did, they're just relying, they're not even manually verifying that the restaurant is at the address that they're telling their drivers. They're just relying on the technology, like, yep, it'll get them there. Which I find, like, it's understandable. But in one way it's actually kind of annoying, because all it would take is a human being to go and verify exactly that the pins for Uber restaurants are exactly where the restaurant is. Sounds expensive, right? But I know for a fact, even though they don't do it, there is something else that they do, evidently to save money, which does involve manually changing satellite pins. And that is, more often than not, when I get a delivery to a house, let's say it's on, I don't know, Spring Street, the app will take me towards Spring Street, and then if there's a little side lane, we have a great thing in Australia, a lot of inner city suburban areas have something we call the dunny lane. And that is, back in the day, when they didn't have deep sewerage, everyone used to have septic tanks. And there would be a lane at the back of all the houses, between the streets, where the dunny man would come with what they'd call I don't know, but it was like a tanker, and he'd come in there and he would, once a month or whatever it was, and he would, drain the waste away, basically. And they're called a dunny lane. But now, obviously, being the modern world, everyone has deep sewerage. So the dunny lane became obsolete. And what most of them became in the cities were just a back lane behind all the houses, usually where they put the garage, so they can save all the land on the front of the property for the house, and then just have the garage at the back, and maybe just a discreet rear entrance. So Uber Eats, when it sends me to deliver someone their food, if it's closer, it will take me to the dunny lane right next to their house. Now, I can tell you right now, nobody in Australia accepts visitors, guests or services through their back garage or their dunny lane. It doesn't happen. Full stop. Which, it's like all well and good. So, you'd say, well, what's the big deal? Just drive around the front. Well, first of all, that's not always easy if you don't know the area. And it means you have to double check every order, exactly what street they want you to go to. But second of all, it's kind of stingy if you think about it, because they have manually moved that pin to the closest point possible so that they don't have to pay you for that extra, anywhere between 50 to 100 meters. Might not sound like a lot, but when you consider that they're paying 95 cents per kilometer, that adds up after time. Doesn't add up to a lot for me, but it adds up to a freaking lot of money for them if you multiply it by hundreds, dozens or whatever of drivers over a month, a year, whatever. That's millions of dollars. For me, it might be $1, $2, $3, $4 a shift. So if they can do that, surely they can actually send someone out just to manually check that the restaurant's pins are exactly where they say they are.